This is The Hard Naked Truth with your host, Michael Jeffries. Each episode, we bring to you industry experts, disruptors, business owners, and even a few financial superheroes. It's time to let your guard down, embrace the naked truth, and conquer the financial jungle like never before.
Welcome to another episode of The Hard Naked Truth. I've got a fellow One Life Club member here with me today, Andrew Taylor from Livco.
Appreciate it, man.
And I'm really looking forward to this one. I'm really excited about what I've been watching your journey on social media and where you've come from and where you're at and stuff, and it seems really exciting. So
awesome, man. I'm excited to be here. Let's get into this.
Mate, so tell me a bit about your background. So born in New Zealand?
Yeah, so born and raised in a small town called South Auckland, Manurewa.
Yes.
Was born, raised there, moved here when I was 20, 21.
Yeah.
Moved to Australia, worked in the fitness industry, pretty much my whole life, up until about 3 years ago when I got made redundant, and was building Livco on the side, and then decided that was it. When I got made redundant, it was like, it's all or nothing.
Yeah, and how was that feeling? Like, I was in a CFO role and I had to make about 100 people redundant, and then the board ended up turning around and making my role redundant, and certainly it was a bit of a shock. I went through a couple of days where I was telling people, I think this will shape your life and change, and this is for the better and everything, and then for the knife to be put into my back, it was a shock at first, and I thought, fuck, what am I going to do? And but like, obviously I'm armed with a fair bit of skill set and stuff, so it wasn't a concern about where I was going to land and everything. But amazingly, Naked was born and stuff out of the back end of part of that. But how did it feel when that happened?
It was kind of a very similar situation where it was like we were letting other people go, and then it was the same situation. The tables turned on me, and it was time for me to go. But I was lucky enough that I kind of already had my ducks aligned. I knew it was kind of coming towards the end of my journey, and Livco had already been started. Livco's been around for a long time, and it was always just a bit of a side hobby. So it was kind of like I had that back step to fall onto and go, it's either this or nothing at all. And I still vividly remember having the conversation with my father, and I said to him on the phone, I was like, I'm never, ever working for someone ever again. Yeah. That's it, me done. And it's still funny to this day. He still goes, I still remember that phone call. He's like, in 3 years on, you're still doing it. It's like, yeah, we're still here.
Yeah, it's crazy because you're obviously chatting to my business partner before. When my business partner and I went into business after that sort of happened, he said at the time, he goes, mate, you've been in big CFO, COO, CEO roles and earned big coin.
Yep.
How are you going to go on the other side of the coin, running a business and being part of a business? And he says, even to this day, he goes, it really surprised me how I did get in and actually and loved it. And I think I was always meant for that. I know in sitting in roles and sitting at desk jobs and stuff, I just went, I knew it wasn't me, and it wasn't my passion. So
yeah, and I think it's like when your back's up against the wall and there's nothing else, it's like, well, there's only one way to go forward, and that's it.
Exactly.
And it's time to go that way. Yeah, literally. Yeah. And it's like, even if you've got no money coming and there's nothing, it's like, you're going to find a way to make that happen. You're going to find to put that food on the table and that roof over your head. Yep.
And I know you talked about your dad before, and I've listened to a couple of podcasts and stuff you've been on. You really, and I really adore it that you really thank your mum and dad a lot and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So is that upbringing in terms of New Zealand and your parents and stuff, and starting Livco in the garage.
Yes.
What did you learn from that?
You know what? I think it's like seeing, because my parents had a printing company. Well, my mum had a printing company when I was, a young child. And so like, I've seen the struggles of her, showing up every single day and just doing the repetitions and all that type of stuff. And I'm like, if she can do that, I can do that too. And, my father, working not only in the printing job in the weekend, but also working, in his job, Monday to Friday. And it's just like, if they were able to do it, like we're able to do it too. So, building Livco from my parents' garage. And it's like, even still to this day, I still get the Snapchat memories of me in the garage where it's like, we've got the car in the background, all the stock and all that type of stuff. And even, I actually recently just got my ankle tattooed, and I was chatting to the guy, and he's just like, oh, tell me about your background. And I was like, oh, I started this clothing brand for my parents' garage. He's like, hold on, wait. He's like, does your parents live in Logan Reserve? I was
Really?
like, yeah, they live in Logan Reserve. And he's like, yeah, I remember you. He's like, you were the guy on Snapchat that used to like build this company from your parents' garage. And it's like, it's so cool that that legacy is still around.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And have you got many photos and videos from that time in terms of the garage? Let's call it, like, one of my favourite Metallica albums is Garage Days.
Yes,
so
yes,
Garage
yes.
Days revisited effectively. So,
Yeah. Well, it's actually funny. So our staple product is our A-frame hats, right?
Mm.
And that was designed in that garage. And I still have the video of me designing that first ever product in the garage with all the photos and the videos and stuff like that. So it's really cool to always look back on and be like, oh, that's where we once were.
Yeah.
And like, look where we are now.
So is that where it started, or was the concept before that?
The concept was before that. So just to give a little bit of a back end story. So me and one of my best friends, we started a company back home in New Zealand. So we were selling like wheels, tires, suspensions, and all that type of stuff. Back when Facebook ads were a new thing, like you hit the old boost button, you know, all this traffic will come through, and we'll sell $1,500 set of tires and all that type of stuff. Anyway, that relationship fell out, and I was on this flight home from New Zealand, and the biggest thing that I always seen was just like, people are not living life to the fullest. And I'm like, I really want to get this message out there that like we as humans need to start living life to the fullest. So, one thing led to another. We I came up with this design. We put it on shirts, but I obviously had been made redundant from to go 2 stories, being made redundant, came back to the fitness industry, get made redundant again.
Wow.
But the first time that I got made redundant, I had no money. And so we did a thing, I'm not too sure if you've heard of it, for Fiverr. No. Yeah, Fiverr. Something along those lines.
Yeah,
it was a crowdfunding website.
Mm.
And, we pledged for all this money. And then I jumped on LinkedIn and I was like, thanks to all these business owners, like back me in my projects and all that type of stuff. And we got all this money to come together. And it was meant to be this lifestyle brand. And then as people started buying into it, we kept asking, our customers what they like and what they're into and stuff like that. And we've gone from this lifestyle brand to this streetwear brand that specializes in hats. And it wasn't our core message, but it's taken us down that way because we listened to our customers and what they wanted.
And you effectively landed on your niche then, didn't you?
Yeah, exactly. Because like I've got a Facebook post. I can pull this Facebook post up where I put our first ever A-frames. We had a jet black and a Vegas gold A-frame, and I couldn't even give them away for free. I have a post in the local community going, hey, I've started this brand. No one wants to buy the hats. I'm prepared to give them away for free. It was not one coin.
I saw you post on that before, and you talked about, and they were the particular colours that everyone wanted at that particular time. Because I remember Culture Kings had.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were the colours that
you couldn't get it at Culture Kings. You had no one's buying.
No one was buying them. I was prepared. I was giving them away for free, and I still remember taking this photo of my neighbour's like front yard, like with the skateboard and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, you guys can have these for free. Like I just need to get rid of them because I'll stick to t-shirts.
Yeah.
And then next thing you know, it's our #1 product.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just crazy where the market can lead you.
Yeah. And so talking about, you said had a, and I might be saying the wrong words, a bit of a falling out with your friend in the tyre business and stuff. Well, what went wrong there? And what sort of lessons you learned? Because I see it. We see it a lot. We get friends come into the office, and I was interviewed on a property podcast recently, and they were talking to me about, because I've got a few investments with a good mate of mine, a couple of properties and stuff, and they're saying, what are the important, things to put into place? And I go, we get in the accounting office all the time. People, friends come in and family members, and we go, look, it's really important we put the right documentation in and the rules around the game in case something blows up and goes wrong. And they go, all of them, 100% of the time go, nah, we're fucking the best mates.
Yeah.
we're family.
Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. And that's the biggest thing and I think that's where we went wrong is like we didn't have that foundations. We were just a couple of best mates that, we grew up together, we played footy together, that it's like, it's going to be okay. Like, we're brothers. It's going to be okay. But then it's like, when money starts to get involved and it's like, this person's not pulling their weight. I'm not pulling their weight, there's no exit strategy. Like if we get to this certain, criteria, what's going to happen then? Are we going to exit? What's to go there? And I think that was probably the biggest thing is just not having the proper things set and sewn from the start. And that's why I've been very big for so long that I always said to myself that I will never go into business with anyone ever again. But now that as I'm getting older, it's like, no, I would go into business together. And I have gone into business with people since then. It's like just having those foundations from the start.
That's the most important. Yeah, and clear with each other. And so everyone's expectations are, as you enter effectively that marriage and then you go into, and then as I said, you document and have the rules in relation to what happens if this happens.
And clear like what their roles are and what your roles are. It's like, not saying that I was the perfect person in the situation. I probably sure I did just as much damage as they did, but it's like we both need to have like set guidelines. It's like, okay, you're focusing on this and I'm focusing on this, and you don't come into my side, I don't come into your side, but we obviously communicate about it. And I think also another thing is communication is the key. When somebody is feeling a particular way inside that relationship, you've got to communicate
be
it.
transparent.
100%. At the end of the day, you're mates, but you're also business partners. Like there's no point, going home and speaking to your partner about it. Like speak to your business partner. And I see that's where some things go wrong with that type of stuff. Yeah.
And so how much did you raise on the crowdfunding?
So it was only small. So at start, I didn't understand how it worked, right? So I'm like, we'll raise like $4,000 type thing. And I think it was like for the first, I think you get 30 days to do. I think for the first 25 days, I think we done like $700. And I was like, oh no, like what am I going to go do? Created this video on my, I think it was like iPhone 3 or something along those lines, very pixelated. That's when I went to LinkedIn and I was like, this is what I'm doing. Everyone jump behind it type thing. And I think we ended up going over at like 4,200 or something, which was just enough to get a couple of shirts.
Okay.
And as I was mentioning to you before, when we first launched our first ever shirts, I spelt my name wrong. Like it's typical me. Typical me that it's spelled. And I always said that if the business gets to that stage where hypothetically, it's on the next level, that people will remember that time that I spelt my name wrong on our first ever shirts.
That'd be fantastic.
That'd be great. Yeah. So the crowdfunding was great. And it's, there was the kickstart that we needed for that. Yeah.
And so how are things now? I mean, you went to, you talk about the brand and the brand name and the story behind that, and living effectively your best life and stuff. I saw you went to Japan on holidays.
Yeah, that was cool.
Flew business class.
Yeah, that was cool.
So are you living your best life now?
Yeah, I definitely say that I'm living my best life. There was something that I took a moment back when I was in Japan. It's like, rather than always looking at someone else's mountain and going, I want to be there. Like think about the mountain that you're on right now and live in that moment. And I think that's a big thing. And it was cool to take a step back, and for the first time in my whole entire life to be absolutely shut down from work. There was no emails. The website was off at probably one of the worst times because it's Christmas period. Everything was completely off, and was able to go away, live my best life, refresh, eat as many ramen that I could possibly think of. And it was definitely, I would say that I'm definitely living my best life right now.
Plenty of powder.
The powder was great. Like it was cool to get up there, and especially Christmas Day, like just seeing the snowfall.
That would have been wicked.
It was a childhood dream for sure. Yep.
We're looking at going to New York this Christmas. And
really?
Yeah. And I haven't been to NY, but we're going to go to LA and stuff. Probably Christmas in LA, then across to New York for New Year's.
Yep. I did New York 2018 for Christmas. Great. It's such a very, very busy, but it's such a vibe, like Rockefeller Center, and just seeing how happy people are and all that type of stuff. I highly recommend it.
And you had Troy Candy recently.
Yeah, Mr. Candy.
Yeah, how did you manage to land? Was that from a One Life Club lead in, or was it?
I feel like I'm not really big on like the whole manifestation type thing, but I feel like there was something behind it, because it was only a month prior to it that I was chatting to a mate, and I was like, Troy, how get me in contact with him. And he's like, I can't really do it. And then I had a meeting with a good friend of mine, Maria, before, like 2 days before. And I was like, Adrian, somehow get me in there with Troy, like type thing. And she's like, oh, nah, I was like, okay, whatever. Anyway, he just happened to put this Facebook post up. He was doing something about YouTube. And I sent him a message. I was like, how can we make this happen? And then 24 hours later, he put up this post saying that, like, hey, we're looking for sponsorships for our YouTube channel, blah, blah, blah. And I just messaged him straight away. And I was like, okay, if there was one person that was going to be an influencer for our brand, it's 100% Troy.
Yeah,
like,
perfect,
he suits it. Like, he's a true blue Aussie, like, loves to live life to the fullest. And the best thing about it, he wears hats too.
Yeah.
And it's like, if we're going to have somebody that's real and down to earth, and we haven't worked with any influencers before. So to have him on board has just been great. Been really, really cool.
And there was cool videos too. It was awesome. Like it just, it was wicked.
Especially like he did the Australia Day one, just blowing tires, and it's just definitely our audience as much as we would like to say that we're some big luxury streetwear brand type thing, we're just a true blue Aussie streetwear brand. That's essentially we are. It's like no different to you and I. We just like to go out there, have fun, have a few drinks, be with your mates, and that's what we consider, living type thing. Yeah. So no, it's really good to have Troy on board and him promoting the brand and all that type of stuff. Yeah.
And have you noticed a big ROI from?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, we can. From I think when we started with Troy, I think his subscriber list for YouTube was sitting around that 70 odd thousand subs. As of yesterday, he's just cracked 100,000 subs, which is awesome. So it's like, the eyes that he's getting on his video, it's like it's a catch-22. It's like he's able to help us out with the branding. We're able to fund him via YouTube so he can continue to make, more YouTube videos and stuff like that. People love watching it. And the cool thing about it is he's able to put the things on YouTube that he wants rather than worry about, monetization, getting banned on YouTube and all that type of stuff. Like, if he wants to do skids, he can do skids. He can do all that type of stuff. We back him on, whatever he wants to do type thing.
Yeah.
He's built a big enough brand himself that we trust whatever path that he decides to go down. Yep.
Yeah, him and Adrian are doing some really
mate.
wicked stuff at the moment.
I don't know if you've seen, so on his latest YouTube channel, we actually did a one-of-one Adrian Patelli hat.
Oh, did you?
So he's wearing a live, so which was a really cool, surreal feeling to see that he's actually wearing one of our hats and all his videos, all his LMCT stuff giveaway. So that was a really cool feeling to see all that type of stuff too. Like, the status that he has. And the cool thing about it is he's just a regular guy like you and I.
Yeah, which people don't realize.
Yeah, people don't realize. Yeah. They see the car, they see the fame, they see all that type of stuff, but he's just one of us.
Yeah. So tell me, manufacturing process and how do you go around design when you first designed it, designing now, manufacturing, onshore versus offshore, and how did you land to where you're at now?
Yeah, well, so when we first started, I was like, I want this to be just a purely Australian made manufactured brand. As soon as I looked into it, I was like, man, this is expensive.
Cost.
It was just like, I'm like, this is never going to work. So we found
you can't sell a hat for fucking what the cost is going
to
be.
No, you can't. Like you can't. And like we literally dove into it because we're like, can try and figure this out some shape or some form. Couldn't figure it out. We ended up finding this manufacturer overseas by Alibaba, like back in the day. And essentially what we did is we took a hat that we once liked and I used pieces of paper and stapled bits and pieces around it and was like, I want a little bit deeper this way and I want a little bit wider this way, and shipped it off overseas. And when we first initially started, we were paying a fortune for these hats. But for me, I was like, if I can just build a relationship with this guy, that it's going to pay dividends long time. And it did. And unfortunately, during COVID, his manufacturing plant actually went into liquidation, but he actually referred me on to a friend of his, and we've been working with them ever since. So we've gone from paying, ridiculously high prices to building this relationship and all that type of stuff. And now we're fortunate enough that we're actually going to be heading to China in May.
Okay.
So we're heading over to China just to see how everything's all done and, it's been a long process, but it's a cool process to see, taking something that you've once either drew down, sending it overseas, and it actually coming up and actually being what you want.
It's a great idea because where you're saying you stapled and said this is exactly what you want, because often it's the other way. They're sending you samples and stuff, but you're actually feeding them with to assist with the whole process.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is like, you hear so many people, they're going, oh, that manufacturer's bad. Oh, that manufacturer's bad. Yeah, I'm sure there's probably a bad one amongst, everything, but it's not the manufacturer that's bad. It's you just don't know how to speak to them.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. It's like, it's going to cost you, thousands in samples if you're not telling them what you want and giving them the right directions. We've sent samples off back when we were doing our basketball singlets. We sent the same sample to 5 different manufacturers and they came out 5 different ways because it's like, you're not prompting them the right way on how they do their thing. So it's actually getting on a Zoom call, speaking to them and how they go through the process of, designing and manufacturing, all that type of stuff. So yeah, we've got a great relationship with our manufacturers at this point in time. Cynthia, she does so much for us, which is great. Yeah.
Fantastic. It's a bit like AI is obviously the buzzword now, and ChatGPT and stuff. Like if you just fucking put one sentence in, expect it to provide you the answer. You actually have to prompt it, provide it as much information as possible. And get it to ask you questions back. Like I talk to the team all the time and say, so I treat it like it's almost a mate of mine. And
it's a real human.
Have a conversation with them and go, I'm about to ask you to do something for me. And then
ChatGPT is like the best thing. Like I use it. It's literally open on my computer all day, every day. Anything that I'm doing from manufacturing, responding to, training staff or stuff like that. Like we just brought on a new customer service manager. I built a full GBT out for him so he understands our business. So any questions that he has, rather than having to come to me first, he goes to ChatGPT, puts it in, spits out the answer for him. If the answer is not what he thinks it is, then he will come to me.
Yeah,
which is great.
So good. Efficiency savings just from that alone.
Oh, it's so good. And even customer service, coming up with product names, like I'll prompt it and I'll be like, okay, this is the color of my hat, this is what I'm doing, like come up with 10 different colorways for me on how I can potentially name this, and it comes up and I'm like, done.
Yeah,
I don't have to sit there for hours on end trying to think about it.
And do you come up with all those colorways yourself and stuff?
Yeah, so it's all like, I've had drunken nights down at Howard Smith Wharfs, and some of our most popular colors have actually come off something like that, where I'd just be sitting there and I'd be like, oh, what if I put the khaki with, like, one of our popular colors is the khaki blaze, and I was out one night, I was wearing a khaki jacket, and the chick that was next to me was wearing an orange dress, and somebody took a photo of us together, and I was like, what if I put that on a hat? And now it's one of our popular colors.
I thought you were going to tell me you're over the porcelain bowl, and then you fucking
honestly, you just never know. But we just literally just looking around, seeing what's going on. We try and fit into the times of the years and stuff like that. Coming into the Christmas time, we kind of want to be a little bit more festive. Last year we did the Super Bowl series and stuff like that, so we tried to have that real American theme in the sense of, we did photo shoots down at Suncorp Stadium with the American football. And so we try and theme them around things.
Yeah.
You can skin a cat a million different ways. So we try and come up with new colorways every single month. Yeah.
And you talked about doing something like an Adrian Patelli hat before.
Yep.
Would you do customized corporate stuff if that, with your brand, obviously, and then?
Yeah, well, look, for so long I was so against it. I was like very, very against this, because I was like, I need to build the brand up to a certain extent that I'm happy with it, with the product and all that type of stuff. Because the last thing that I would want is, for example, you wearing the brand and, one of your customers going, oh, this is a terrible product, blah, blah, blah. So it only comes back on you, it comes back on me type thing. Now we're starting to get into it, but we're probably going to be very selective on
I understand.
Who
don't want it out there.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want it to be every single person's wearing it. We want it to be like it's somebody that's going to represent us. And we've actually just opened the conversation up with a good friend of mine, Dion. He's represented the brand for probably a good 3 years now. That he came to me, he's like, how can we do our own version of a Livco hat? So he'll have his branding on it, but he'll have all our branding on it as well. So we're starting to open that
That's
up.
pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, but very selective, because somebody only wants to see our logo so many times before they get over it type thing. Yeah.
And mate, you've had some lines where you're not a lot to keep selling out and stuff. What's the dopamine hit like when all that happens and the sales start coming in? And,
man, it's incredible. Like last year we brought enough stock to run us right through from Black Friday, December, January, and it was probably, I estimated that it was going to wrap us up in February. That's what I had estimated. Before Black Friday had even come, we were like 75% sold out, and we didn't have to run any Black Friday sales. And I was like, I still remember sitting there going, what have I done? Like this is crazy. And then so that was a good call that I just said. I was like, you know what? Like, let's pull the pin on this. Let's close the website down. Let's shut it down. Let's go on holiday. This is our one and only chance that we can go on holiday and not stress about it type thing. Put a new order in for hats. And so we opened the website back up on the 15th of January.
Yeah.
And we sold through 60% of our stock on our first day.
I remember I saw a couple of videos you run and stuff
on
that. Yeah.
It was, and so yet again, I'm in the same predicament that we're probably going to sell out by probably in the next week or two, but we're not going to get stock for another 2 or 3 months again.
Yeah.
So it's like that catch-22. It's like, we're buying a lot of stock, but then it's just selling out again. And it's like, some people like buy more stock, but then it's, as you know, as an accountant, cash flow.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the biggest thing is like, it becomes a balancing act. Is like, you've got $250,000, $500,000 worth of stock sitting on the water. And it's like, I now need to order more stock to be in front of that. It's like, but I need to sell a little bit of that to then move it. Yeah, people don't realize it's a juggling.
Keep the train going all the time. Yeah, it's the and it also there's obviously a balancing act, but it also creates even more significant demand, doesn't it? When you're selling out, like at the end of the day. But you obviously don't want to piss people off so much that they go, I'm not going to come back and buy, but
Well,
they're going to, you want them hanging around and hanging, go, fuck, new stock, bang, I'm going to
Yeah,
go.
well, that's what I was worried about. Like, came the 15th. I still remember it was like the 14th. So that was the Tuesday. I was like, I'm going to rebuild our full website. So I'm reskinning the website. I'm redesigning the website, doing everything from scratch. And my partner was just like, that is one of the dumbest things you could be doing right now. I was like, watch me. Like, and I worked all day, all night to get it all done because I was nervous. So, like, we'd been shut for over 30 days. I was like, I don't know if people are going to, because we started to get those hate comments. People were like, oh, I'm never buying from this brand again because you never got any stock. And I was like, oh shit, like this is going to be a bit worried. And then we launched on the 15th. And I think it was like the first 2 minutes, there was like a couple of sales that tricked in, and just that sink in my feeling like, oh no,
my God,
what have I done? What have I done? And then it just went, like just took off. And I was like, I remember calling my dad and telling my dad, and he's like, you're kidding me. I was like, it's happened. He's like, what are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. And do you know Cooper? Cooper from One Life? Yeah. So I remember speaking to Cooper on the phone. He's like, mate, double down on it, spend more ads, like send it to the moon. I was like, fuck, all right, let's go, let's do this. And yeah, no, it's been, that dopamine has been good, but it's also, it's like a pendulum swing. It's like when you go too far one way, it's going to come back the other way. So you got to bring yourself back into center. Otherwise, if you're walking around with this big head, something bad's going to happen. Yeah. So I was just always trying to bring yourself back to grounded.
You need to remain centered. You know, you're talking about before doing like the updating the website skins and all that sort of stuff. And I know you film a lot of content through the sales process and everything when new lines come out and everything, which I think is fucking magic. So it sounds like you're very hands-on in relation to that side of, you know, the marketing and
when it comes to like the whole business side of the thing, it's essentially just me, my partner, and a couple of subcontractors essentially. So everything from Facebook ads, marketing, you know, coming up with, you know, different creatives, names and stuff like that. It's me. That's what I love doing. It's my bread and butter. Like, you know, if you came to me and was just like, hey, I want to rebrand this whole company, I'm like, right, let's do this. Like, that's what I love doing. You know, when it comes into the logistics side of things of, you know, dispatching and stuff like that, that's more my partner's, you know, so I let her deal with that type of stuff. But yeah, it's pretty much just me. And I feel as though running a lean business is the way to go these days. You know?
100%.
So many, you know, when I speak to people, they're like, oh, you know, how many team you got working for you? And you tell them, they're like, oh, is that all? Like, you must be like a small business. And it's like, yeah, we're a small business. But then, you know, then you speak about numbers and they're like, oh, wait, you do that by yourself? I'm like, yeah, you don't need to have big teams these days.
It's amazing what you can do with a small team and stuff.
Yeah, and I'm going to keep it that way. Like, I'm going to push the limits as much as I possibly can just by myself.
Yeah. So it's one of the challenges we face in our industry. You know, we're a people service-based business, so we need people.
Yeah, you need it.
There's obviously technological changes coming through and they continue to. And it'll be interesting to see where it all lands with AI and stuff. But it's a struggle we face is, you know, as growth, do you want to keep growing or do you want to just stay the size you are? Do we want to even reduce? And maximize our value per customer? Because, you know, growing in number of people doesn't necessarily result in
more money. No, and that's what a lot of people don't realize. They think like, oh, you know,
you're killing it.
I'm going to get 10 trucks on the road. I'm going to get 10 guys, blah, blah, blah. It's like, but what if you had 5 guys and you're able to maximize those customers a little bit more? Maybe you're going to have more revenue rather than, you know, having to, you know, turn over a minimum of 30 grand a week just to keep the lights on. Like, man, that's stressful.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? So, mate, what's your take on pricing strategy and stuff? How do you set price for a
There's no strategy. There's, you know, people are like, oh, you know, 80 margin, you know, all that type of stuff. I price things off what I'll pay for them. That's essentially what I do. It's like, I don't want to be charging people ridiculous prices and all that type of stuff. We, to this day, have never put the price of our hats up since we've started. And, you know, our cost of manufacturing has gone up. Our logistics have gone up. Everything's gone up. Australia, shipping prices and all that type of stuff. But I've kept everything the same. Yes, we might not be making as much margin, but for me, it's like you see so many brands come out there and, you know, they want to charge, you know, $90 to $100 for a t-shirt. And it's like, mate, it's just an AS color t-shirt with the branding on it. It's like, yeah, I get it. It's like your branding, but it's like, what is it? It's nothing. Exactly. And it's like, I want to price things at what I would pay for them. So even like our hoodies will be like a 3D embroidered, you know, 350 GSM fleece, like they're high quality hoodies. We'll only sell it for $60. And people are like, you could be charging 150, 190 bucks. So I'm like, you can do that, but that's not us. Like,
yeah.
this
that's not our position and stuff.
yeah, 100%. I think that's kind of, and that's why we've kind of stayed where we are, and we've stayed in our own places. We don't want to compete on price. We're not about the price. We're about, creating that culture, and people know that we're not out there just to rip them off. You're going to come get a good quality product at a reasonable price. Type thing. Yeah.
But if people listening, what advice would you give to them if they were looking to get into, I guess, merchandise, hats, clothing? Where do they start?
My advice for anyone that wants to start a clothing brand is pretty simple. Drop 1 to 2 products per month, every single month for the next 12 months, right? Because when you first start, your marketing is going to be shit, your videos are going to be terrible, your quality of your product is probably going to be terrible as well, right? Start with only 50 to 100 shirts. Hype it up, sell them out. People don't need to know that you don't have thousands of units. And this is where so many people go wrong, right? They want to start a clothing brand. They go get a loan out. They spend, $20,000, $30,000 on this big collection, photo shoots, get all the influencers and stuff like that. They launch it, their friends and family buy it, and then that's it.
No one else.
Exactly. So it's like, how can we change this? It's like, let's do the starve and feed model, right? The starvation model. Drop 1 to 2 products per month, every single month. Hype it up, sell it out. Hype it up, sell it out. And as soon as that product is gone, you can't get it again. That's it. And that's the biggest thing. And it's something that we've done with inside our business, and you have just seen the growth month on month on month. And we want to keep it that way, because the last thing you know what it is. It's like, you love your Jordans. If everyone's got the exact same pair of Jordans as yours, you're like, oh, I don't want to be wearing these. But if you've got an exclusive pair of Jordans that no one else can get, you're prepared to get that straight away.
100%.
And that's why we want to keep it that way. We want to make sure that our colorways, our logo might be the same, but our colorways are different. Not everybody has that hat. And, there's times where we could have probably increased our quantity and gone, okay, cool. Rather than selling, 3,000 units of this, we could potentially sell 10,000 units of this colorway. It's like, no. Let's keep it exactly there. As soon as it sells out, they miss out. And we get a lot of people, in our comment section, they're hating on us, like slamming us. You're never going to grow. You're never going to be a business. What kind of business model is this? And it's like, that's okay. You're not for us, man. Like it's okay. Like, you've just got to get in quick, and we're just going to continue keeping it that way. So for anyone that wants to start a clothing brand, or, anything along those lines, 1 to 2 products per month, every single month, hype it up, sell it out. And when you sell it out, I want you to get on the roof, and I want you to scream from the rooftops. Tell your grandma, tell everybody about it, because those people that are around you that are going to doubt you for starting that clothing brand are going to go, hold on a second here, Andrew, you just sold out. Like, I didn't even think this was going to be anything, but they don't know how many units that you had. And you do it again, and then they're like, hold on, wait, Andrew, how are you doing this?
Sold out again.
You sold out again. So rather than they've gone from hating on you to then asking how you do it, to then buying your product, and then all of a sudden they're your biggest supporter.
I don't want to miss out.
Exactly. Yep. And it's just that starve and feed model. And G'd Up is a Sydney-based brand. They've done this very, very well. And I learned a lot of that from Pack, and seeing that model that they've done, and I've just replicated it with inside my own business.
They've done well, haven't they?
Yeah. G'd Up has done crazy well.
It's that whole scarcity and experience thing. I know Simon talks about that One Life Club and everything. Everyone's looking for the experience now, and and part of that is I've got it and not everyone else has got it, and I can be part of it. Having that community and that culture as well behind it, because it's like, it's well and good to sell a product, but it's like, how do we make them feel and feel like they're a part of it? Like, the guys at Livco know that they can reach out to me on Instagram at any single time. They're starting a business, I'll help them out. Like, the fact that you put food on my table, I'm going to put food on your table. I'm going to give you all the knowledge that I possibly have, because once when I didn't have anything, you were there buying my stuff, and I'm going to give it back to you. And we've started to create a bit of a dope community on Facebook, where it's like, if they've started a business, put it in our group chat. You've got something that we helped out a young boy. This was many years ago, where he was quite unwell and he needed to go down to Sydney. The whole Livco team came together, and the people raised money. We got him and his mum down to Sydney so he can get the checkups that he wanted and stuff like that. And it's like, it's not just about the product, it's about the community. And a lot of people want to be around a community these days, especially the way phones are and all that type of stuff. People are so away from life that it's like making them feel a part of something. Fuck, I love that, mate. So good. It's such a feel good moment, isn't it?
100%. Seeing people, like some of the boys that are in there recently just started business, and they're like, oh, Andrew, how do I run Facebook ads? I'm like, bro, do this, and this. and you see them get a couple of wins and they're like, this actually works. I'm like, bro, it works, man. Like,
high five.
yeah, exactly. And it's just like, they jump in there like, oh, I need to get a marketing agency. I'm like, bro, don't get a marketing agency. I'm going to show you what you need to do and just double down on that.
Yeah.
And it's cool to have that community behind it. Yep.
Yeah. So where's anyone buys Livco products?
Livco, all online.
Yep.
www.lvco.com.au.
Awesome.
And we may potentially be in stock, or we may be sold out.
Yeah, so jump in quickly.
Jump in quickly. If not, we have one limited edition drop every single month that you can definitely grab.
Awesome.
Yep.
Mate, thanks for joining me today.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for having me.
It's time to wrap up another episode of The Hard Naked Truth, where we've stripped down the business world and accounting industry like never before. Follow all of our socials and share and keep following this podcast. Remember, when it comes to running a business and protecting your assets, keep it hard, keep it naked, and keep it real. Stay naked, stay truthful, and keep winning.